Több mint 100 utalás az Astro's Playroom játékba easter egg, ez itt az Under the Moons című csatorna.
This is a quick spoiler warning for Astro's Playroom on the PS5. If you haven't played this game and you want to experience it just as I did, turn off this video now. You have been warned.
Spoilerek lesznek, nyilván az egész játékon végigment, gondolom, és akkor összegyűjtött nagyon sok mindent. Ez 2 éve jött ki ez a videó, de számomra új volt, mert nemrég vettem meg a PS5-öt és játszottam végig idén az Astro's Playroomot platina trófeával. Viszont voltak olyan dolgok, amiket láttam és gondoltam, hogy valami, de nem tudtam, hogy mi. Itt akkor egy olyan összefoglalás lesz, amiben le van írva részletesen, vagy úgy tűnik el lesz mondva, tehát leszaladt a beszéd, hát angolul, de szerintem be tudok feliratot állítani, az automata, ez lehetséges, mondjuk 60 FPS-re át.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Egg Hunt, the show where we take a look at Easter eggs and references hidden in all our lovely favourite video games. And today's episode we're looking at the new Astro's Playroom. Now this game was pretty much created to show off the DualSense controller beautifully, if I say so myself. And the fun thing is this game takes place inside of the actual PS5. You can actually see we're actually inside of the case.
Már ott fel lehetett nézni, hogy a PS5-be vagyunk? Ez sem tűnt fel.
Now, inside of each level, we'll come across a bot filming 2 other bots or more recreating a scene from a game. So that's going to be the main thing we're going to be going through.
Ez a fő dolog, hogy van egy kamerás, ilyen kis robot, és akkor ő vesz fel valamit.
However, there's a few more things to look out for as we go along. Every one of the levels is actually a focus on each part of the hardware. So for instance, the first level we're looking at is Memory Meadows, which is exploration into, I guess, the RAM of the PS5.
Ja, igen, a RAM, hát ezt gondoltuk, van a GPU Jungle, CPU Plaza, tehát a részei, hát igazából számítógépeknek is már ez a részei, de a PS5-nek is a részei azok. Úgyhogy maga az is easter egg, hogy hogyan nevezték el ezeket a világokat.
Straight away we come into a level completely populated by these blue and yellow flowers. They're actually references to forget-me-nots. Speaking of flowers, we have a bot here controlling a bunch of petals, which is a reference to the 2008 game Flower by the same developers as Journey. In this game, you pretty much, I guess, controlled the wind and unlocked flowers. It's pretty cute. The next one we come up seems to be a bot hiding in a tree from another bot with a net. Well, yep, this is definitely a reference to Ape Escape, the popular game on the PlayStation. Trudging through some mud, we come across a bot that is it a skeleton bot with a sword? Well, come on, this has got to be a nice little reference to also using old memory cards as gravestones.
Évben Halloween-kor végig toltam a remastert.
And back in some more mud, we have a more recent game. There's a bot who seems to be struggling, carrying lots of data. Oh, this has got to be Death Stranding, right? The detail on this one is actually quite fun. We've got the data, we've got him struggling and collapsing just like he does, and there's also a little robot BB as well. I love it, it's brilliant.
Azt a sztoriból úgy nem tudtam, hogy egy baby.
Later on, we jump onto a bounce pad and we come up into a windy terrain, and we have a bot that has a letter in its head. Well, this is clearly a reference to Terrain, Media Molecule's second game after the Planet. This was later ported to the PS4 in Terrain Unfolded.
Hát nem tudom kiknek, hány embernek volt vitája, nekem a sima PSP az megvolt.
And look at our next reference, which is of the game Ico, which is created by the studio that also brought us Shadow.
Hallottam az Ico PS2-re úgy jelent körülbelül, akkor jelent meg, mint a Shadow of the Colossus, nem játszottam vele, pedig úgy tudom platformer játék.
Of the Colossus and The Last Guardian, which we will see later on. Then we come across a bot toting a PSVR headset playing golf. Well, this must be everybody's golf VR. Play the demo, the caddy was a bit weird and creeped me out, so I just left
golf
it.
VR.
I just want to pull attention to something as simple as these trees. The stump and trunk are actually part of the original controller's wire.
Wow! A törzse! Az az eredeti PS1-es kontrollernek a része. Hát nekem volt olyan kontrollere.
Brilliant!
Tényleg brilliáns.
A little further on we see a boss from Astro's last game all grayed out with another bot tickling it with a feather. So I think it's safe to say this is a reference to The Last Guardian.
Ezt én is így gondoltam, csak a Last Guardianben nem egy ilyen sas, vagy egy ilyen holló, vagy valamilyen madár van, hanem ott egy olyan kutya, tehát olyan van.
Similar situations, and the second one from the same studio as Ico. We next find a bot on the ground with a piece of origami on his belly. a clear reference to the origami killer from Heavy Rain. Also, take note of the rain splashes on the ground.
Ja, meg amúgy is a pályán a Heavy Rain. Igen.
We then have these little mechanical references spewed out the game, and this is a nice open button which is taken straight from that of the PlayStation 1. I thought it was pretty cool. We then come into a lovely purpley pink field of grass, and there's a couple of bots playing baseball, and I can only think of one game that is MLB The Show that came to the PlayStation 2.
Ez túlzás szerintem, hogy baseball, akkor az MLB, hát lehet.
Rolling on, we see something strange in the distance. It looks like a rocket-powered rabbit. Well, I didn't know what this one was, but my friend Mellow Gaming let me know that this was a game on the PS1 called Jumping Flash, in which you controlled a robotic rabbit that, I guess, jumped around looking for carrots. Yeah, like I said, I missed out on this one. Didn't play this as a kid. Let's move on. We then come across a couple of bots booging out and listening to the PlayStation 1's music player.
Ez nekem volt! Ez egy nagy cucc volt, hogy ha vettél egy lemezt, és mondjuk nem volt CD lemez zenékkel, és ha nem volt számítógéped, akkor ide beraktad, és akkor a menübe akkor kiválasztod a CD player, és akkor első dal, második, és hallgatottad. De nyilván lehetett számítógépen is hallgatni, meg volt ilyen CD lejátszó, ilyen hifi rendszer, kazetta, meg CD. Hát igen, ilyen volt a menüje még régen, ez az ilyen lilás, ilyen körgombokkal volt. Nostalgia.
Now up in the clouds, we come across a bot controlling what looks like a jet. I wondered, could this be from Ace Combat, but the patterns looked a bit too loud for that game. But no, I was reassured this actually was from Ace Combat, or in Japan, also known as Air Combat.
Ace Combatből volt. Olyan színes repülők voltak.
A more current game from 2020 is Ghost of Tsushima, where we see our friend whose name I don't know because I haven't played this game. But I want
én se játszottam, de nagyon dicséri.
Also, it turns out that Astro's world has 2 suns. Didn't think I was supposed to see that.
2 napocska? Lehet 2 helyen is bevilágít a PS5-ben, gondolom, az eleje hátulja vagy valahogy.
We then come across a bot skating on electricity wires. Well, there's got to be Infamous, in which we could see our main protagonist from that game doing the exact same thing.
Hallottam erről a játékról sokat, ez exkluzív volt a PS3-ra, és emiatt felfigyeltem.
Next up, we have a scared bot with a light and what a ghost behind him. Well, this has to be Forbidden Siren, in which the exact same thing happens in that game. Spooky stuff. We then have the appearance of Big Brother from the game Astrobot Rescue Mission. Great game, check it out if you have a PSVR.
Rescue Mission? Ja, az VR-ra jelent meg csak. És ott
rounding up the level, we come across a pocket station with 2 cats either side. Well, this is from the game Doko Demo Isu, with the characters Kuro and Toro. This is a strange little thing that only Japan had. Very odd indeed, don't really know where to go with this. Yeah. Crash Bandicoot was on it, I guess.
Rajta volt Crash is? Én csak azt tudtam, hogy Pocket Station van, de hogy...
Coming around the corner, we then come across 3 bots playing a game called Bot Racer. With a title screen that is a...
Nekem Lego Racer, ha bár az a kép nem olyan.
Pretty much accurate representation of that of Ridge Racer, a game that helped launch the PlayStation 1 into popularity.
Abból mondjuk jelentek meg később is számos
Let's move on to the second level, which focuses on the PlayStation 5's very fast SSD.
Ez biztos, hogy gyors. Ezért is ezzel jobb a PS4-nél, a gyors betöltése.
And the first reference we come across is that a bot in a blonde wig with an apple? Well, yeah, this is Gravity Rush. That was a game that was original to the PS Vita that had a sequel
PS Vita,
on the PS4.
Megint Vitát nem ismerem.
We can talk about iconic imagery with this next one, the sword stuck in the ground with the light on, with a bunch of bots around it. Yeah, this is Cloud's weapon from Final Fantasy VII. Very popular game on the PS1.
Igen, rendkívül híres.
We then have this scene with a bot on a sling with the words pain. I guess this is a game called Pain. Yeah, it was on the PS3.
Pain, azt nem ismertem,
we come across a rather scared bot looking at a seat. Oh! Is that Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2? Wow, this is a pretty disturbing scene.
Meglepődtem, hogy így beleteszik, mert ez egy horror játék, és akkor jönnek ezek a piramis fejek, vagy mi. Nem játszottam vele, de ikonikus ez a karakteri piramissal, úgy. Silent Hill.
And then we come across a bot that's dressed up as a Lombax, so this must be Ratchet and Clank. Yeah. Brilliant. Original PlayStation 2 game that is still going.
Ja, azért mindig megy. Gőzerővel.
We then come across a bunch of Hellghast holding aim controllers with enemy soldiers from the game Killzone.
Ez egy PS exclusive.
We then have 2 bots shivering, looking at a skull with a hat on. This is the iconic imagery of Resistance Fall of Man, a release title for the PS3.
Hogy várjál, most veszem észre. Csak PS exkluzívokat tesznek be, most veszem észre. Ratchet & Clank, várjál. Tényleg csak... Most tűnik fel?
Further down we go.
Nem, mert Crash Bandicoot-tal találkoztam, és az nem... Jó, hát PS1, de...
Come across a bot walking on what looks like a tightrope with some shapes in. Well, this is actually the same kind of gameplay you could find in Vib Ribbon, a very strange game from Japan on the PlayStation 1.
Ez tényleg fura játék.
We then find ourselves surrounded by spiders from Astro's rescue mission, along with the bot hanging from a web. Well, this must be a reference to Marvel's Spider-Man that came out in 2018. Wow, does not feel like 2 years ago.
Fú, mikorra időzítsem be. Jön a Crash Team Rumble, akkor gőzelővel azzal akarok játszani, akkor előttem én, hogy... Cupheadek, meg minden.
It's a site with a bunch of bots on display. Well, this must be a reference to Detroit, Become Human, a world in which robots are sold for labor. We then hop over to a film reference in which you can see a bot on a treadmill whilst it rotates around them, which is very similar to the one in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Like there's a film?
Now, I might need a bit of help on this one. We can see two bots playing a game called Bot Fighter. This could be
Street Fighter,
but I didn't think the logo matched it.
Ja. A Tekken.
We then find
az PS-re jelent meg. Hát később lehet, hogy jött Xbox-ra is, de a Tekkenre mondanám.
Ourselves watching a chap with white hair shooting a clown in the sky. Well, that to me
ez a Devil May Cry.
Like Dante from Devil May Cry.
Na ez sem PS exkluzív, nem? Az, hát lehet régebben azok voltak amúgy, csak utána
Never played this game that much, but know enough to know what it is. Now let's talk about a game I know a lot about and we come across a bot with a zipper sitting on a world. Well, this is clearly Little Big Planet. This imagery of Sackboy sitting on the world could be found...
Meg jött a Sackboy Adventure, az is fel van írva a listámra, azt is szeretném. Az jobban, szerintem jobban platformer, mint a Little Big Planet, mert próbálkoztam, kipróbáltam a Little Big Planetet, de hát olyan, nem sem olyan... Olyan Dreamses volt, mint hogy össze lehet lakni dolgokat.
We then find a bunch of crafts flying around an asteroid. Well, this is a reference to Wipeout, the futuristic racing game. It was very popular on the PS1. Had a great VR rendition.
Ismerős így most már, hogy így mondta. Egyébként nem annyira.
And speaking of VR, we come across a bot in VR with an aim controller. Now this can be one of two games, but I'm pretty sure it's Farpoint due to the frantic nature of how he moves, as Farpoint is set on a planet covered in spiders. Terrifying stuff.
Jól csapott neki, hát ez komoly lehet. Ó, még úgy kell...
Doing our very best impression of Infamous, we come across a spaceship made out of cubes. Now this is a reference to a very early PS4 game called Resogun, in which you could create your own ship designed based on pixels.
Pixelekből rakták össze.
Walking along a PlayStation-infused bridge, we come across two bots playing a game on the PS2. Well, to me that looks like the God of War menu, perfectly renamed.
De az a régi, az első God of War. Nem a 2008.
Now let's start our third adventure into the third level of the game, when we jump into the console's GPU, my favourite of the four levels. This level really shows off the real-time light rendering thanks to the ability that is ray tracing. So thank you, Ray Tracing. I sing like someone's name. Thanks, Ray! Now our first reference of the level, well, we come across four bots around a campfire, all playing on their PSPs. Well, due to their weapons, this must be a reference to Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, the first Monster Hunter game.
Konkrétan nem ismerem a neveket, hogy hány, milyen
részei vannak. Is that a crate of Wampa fruit, I hear you ask? Well, yes, it is. And this little diorama goes so clearly, obviously, that it is Crash Bandicoot that we don't even need the lower third. But there it is. We don't need the reference either. But there it is anyway. So, yeah, enjoy it.
Ez egyébként, ez amit itt mutatott ezen az oldalt, a második játékból van.
A little walk through the grass and we find ourselves looking at a red-haired woman with a bow and arrow. Well, this is definitely a reference to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Az is jó játék, azt végig toltam.
We then find a strange...
Egy hatalmas videóban. Fú, amúgy nagyon hosszan játszottam vele, de próbáltam minél jobban összesűríteni, hogy végig lehessen nézni. Hát a második részében nem tudom, hogy fogok ilyet csinálni, de más játékkal lehet, hogy teszek majd ilyet, ami nem feltétlenül platformer, de szívesen játszanám, és örökíteném meg legalább akkor egy videóba.
Little thing creating what looks like a T-Rex made of cubes. Well, this has to be Media Molecule's other game, Dreams. Now, interesting they chose...
Én is láttam, hogy szép dinós, de mondom Dino Crisis, vagy mi akar ez lenni most abból, tehát hogy szerintem szebb dinót is össze tudnak rakni a Dreams-be, mint egy ilyen kockákkal összerakottat. Tehát mondjuk Minecraft...
chose a T-Rex to create. Remember, a T-Rex, we'll be referencing that later.
Ja, mondjuk a T-Rex, igen, a tech demo, tehát az a végén volt egy...
Now, another thing I want to point out is how well this game uses pieces of hardware as level enemies. Here we have disc trays as platforms you can bounce to.
CD.
There's a little rope we can walk across, but it's actually a PlayStation 1 controller input.
Yeah.
And over here, we have a couple of platforms that come out in the walls, and they're the back triggers from the PS4 controller. I love this kind of stuff.
De ez így közben így mutatta is a játék, ahogy úgy ráléptünk, akkor így zörgött, vagy valami volt, tehát ezt lehetett azért ugye érezni, és az jó volt, hogy ezt így használták elemeknek.
Now, I might be going a bit too deep into this, but there's these little pine cones you can hit that give a shaking sound effect. Now, in one of the levels in Astro's rescue mission, there was a piece of music similar to one you're hearing, but had little shakes in the back of it. I don't know, what do you think? Am I going crazy?
Hát, hogy a másik VR-os játéknál is volt ilyen shake hang, hogy volt benne valami, lehet, hogy ez túlzás, de nem játszottam még azzal a VR-os. Na, azt érdemes, ti arról hallottatok valamit arról a Astro VR játékról?
Going back to dioramas, we come across the Hunter from Bloodborne, giving the grass a little bit of a trim. That's very nice of him.
Yeah.
Now, as we stumble into this cave, we find a coffin. And if we knock on that cave, we come across a vampire who pops up. Now, we're pretty sure, me and Mellow Gaming, that this is Alucard from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Interesting thing about his name, I did realise this, but Alucard is just Dracula backwards. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, Dracula's son, so we thought that's probably who it is. The other thing you can find in these caves are lyrics. Now, lyrics to what? Well, interestingly, throughout this level, well, the piece of music you've heard in the background, there is someone singing, and it's actually...
A háttérben lévő dalnak van dalszövege?
The PlayStation 5's GPU. He's singing all about the beautiful rendering he can do to make your games.
Ja, ilyen robot hang, ilyen eltorzít, az énekel, és ott a dalszöveg.
Look beautiful.
GPU.
Now, as we go into
így énekelted.
Caves, we've come across Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us. This kind of framing is a reference to...
Mondják már nekem, hogy nézem a sorozatot, de hát még a játékos játszottam, a bepótolások, sosem fogom utolérni magam amúgy, pedig már leszűkítettem, hogy platformer játékok. De... nem panaszkodom. Nem panaszkodás.
Media we saw out of The Last of Us. I also like how far this reference goes to their rendition of clickers. It's fantastic. Also, the second Naughty Dog game in this level so far. As we go across another controller, there's a crashed plane and someone hanging off a cliff. Are those yellow brackets he's hanging off of? Well, this must be Nathan Drake. So this is clearly a reference to Uncharted, Drake's Fortune.
Hát azt így nem tudom, hogy melyik részre, de...
Now, I originally got this next one wrong, but thankfully my friend Mellow Gaming helped me out. This is actually from the game called Patapon on the PSP, in which you helped a bunch of tribespeople beat up other things, I guess. I haven't played that one. Then we come across the gun.
PSP-re, én amiket úgy játszottam, az ilyen nagyobb címek, amik PSP-re is megjelentek, azokra voltam úgy kíváncsi. Mondjuk Assassin's Creed-et megnézem, hogy milyen, a Bloodlines, vagy milyen nevet kapott ott. A Need for Speed-re voltam kíváncsi, hogy jött a Most Wanted, akkor milyen a PSP-n, és akkor ott másabb volt, tehát így, én így használtam a PSP-t, hogy ilyen nagyobb címeket, megnéztem, hogy milyen úgy kis konzolra, tehát hogy hordozni tudjam, mert nem tudom otthonról elvinni. Meg a GTA-k voltak még, amik először csak arra jelentek meg, de aztán megjelentek PS2-re is.
Motorbike by a bunch of scary zombie-like robots. Well, this has to be Days Gone, the redneck version of Last of Us. This game caught people's eye due to its physics engine and how many zombies you could have on the screen at one time. Amazing stuff. Now, this next one I actually almost missed and caught it on my third playthrough. This is a reference
harmadik végigjátszásánál vette észre.
To Soul Reaver, a game written by Amy Hennig, who also wrote Uncharted. Another big thanks to Mellow Gaming, as I had never heard of this game before. Now, here's another little fun level detail. I noticed this rope bridge was created out of the second version of the PlayStation 4 camera.
Ilyenekre rájönni. Hát nem hiába, hogy 3-szor végigjátszotta és úgy vette észre. Több mint 100 easter egg. Ez nagyon jó videó. Ezt dicsérjétek meg, menjetek az eredeti készítőre.
we find these kind of totem things that are actually the first version of the PlayStation 4 camera. I like it. Team Asobi then give themselves their own reference with the Playroom. This was the first time we actually saw the bots. Here we can see them playing Ninja Bots, one of the fun mini-games. Quite accurately represented with the controllers and the different colours. And just above these guys, we see a character from a very old series, Tomb Raider, which first debuted on the PlayStation back in 1996.
Igen, az a grafika, a PS1-es grafika, az komoly volt. De hát hova fejlődtünk mostanában.
I took a while to get this one, but thanks to Mellow Gaming again, he pointed out that he thinks this was the maiden from Demon's Souls. Never played this game. Yeah. Moving on to a game I also never played, we find a robot with an electric gun and a mustache. This must be from the Order 1886. A game that was short-lived. We then round off Team Ico's trilogy with a fantastic reference to Shadow of the Colossus, with Big Brother representing one of the Colossi. And now, rounding off the Naughty Dog references, we have a bot with long ears with a rabbit on his head. Well, this must be a reference to Jack and Daxter on the PlayStation 2.
Pedig az ott van, ahogy megyünk tovább, nem?
We then have two people fighting. Okay, this is clearly Tekken. And so this is Jin Kazama and Hiyoshi Mishami fighting.
Jin Kazama, arra emlékeztem, a másikra nem.
Team Asobi get right back in with another reference to another one of their Playroom games. This time it's the VR Playroom, where we can see the bots playing Monster Escape, one of my favourite mini games inside of that pack. We then come across a bot who clearly must have mastered Journey because he's wearing the white coat that can only be found inside a Journey when you collect all of the artifacts. So, well done. We then make our way into the final
Cooling Springs, which
focuses on the PlayStation 5's cooling system. Straight away, as we make our way to the level opening slide, we see a lovely little message from one of the bots.
Thank you for playing.
Cooling Springs, the little spot where you can ride a dolphin, learn to surf with your other bot friends, and come across a couple of references. Now, this was the very first reference I ever saw in the original release. This is clearly God of War.
God of War. Tehát van a régi God of War, meg a jelenlegi God of War sorozat.
He has a boy. Strolling down the beach, there's a big fat white balloon thing. This is clearly a reference to Loco Roco, the really colourful game you could play on the PSP back in 2006. This was one of those games that I think everybody knew about, despite the majority of us not owning a PSP. Always wanted to check it out. Casually interrupting the surfing class, we see a bunch of PlayStation symbols floating off. As we get a bit closer, we see a bot colouring the wall with those PlayStation symbols. Now, this is a reference to Concrete Genie that came out at the end of 2019. Going down this dock, we come across a character
tehát lehet rajzolni benne így a falra? Mert volt egy ilyen rajzolós játék, de az egyszerű volt, a Max and Curse, vagy valami Max, tehát egy kisfiú, és akkor ilyen sárga nagy hajjal, és nekünk így tollal lehetett így rajzolgatni, ilyen platformokat, arra rá lehetett menni, négyzetet rajzoltam, meg ilyenek. Max Andy, nem tudom mi volt van, Maxation, nem tudom mi, de két része is van, tudom a játéknak. Az első, az tényleg ilyen rajzos, a második meg ilyen 3D, és az másabb volt, azt nem játszottam, az elsővel játszottam.
Only knew about thanks to PlayStation All-Stars. It's Fat Princess. She likes cakes. Don't know much about this one. There's just cakes everywhere.
Fat Princess.
Now, here's a deep reference that gets used in a lot of Playroom games. It's Dude Raider. This is the nickname given to Uncharted when it was first shown off at E3, before Naughty Dog even had a name for it.
Az Uncharted-nak volt az a címe? Hát akkor ez egyértelmű, hogy a Tomb Raiderről alapozták csak férfinak, és akkor dude, vagy ilyen haver, egy ilyen csávó Raider.
We just saw this dude in a jungle. It was like, well, this is Tomb Raider, but he's a dude.
Igen.
Now, apparently this reference is quite hard to see. Wait a second, there's someone in a box over there. Well, clearly, it's Solid Snake. And this is Metal Gear Solid inside his box, complete with sound effect. I also like the little detail of Solid State sticker shoved onto the side of the box. As we come into an icy area, we come across a group of bots representing the cast of Until Dawn, the horror-like film game, which is pretty cool. There's a character with a beanie. She was in that game. There's also a butterfly, a nice reference to the butterfly effect style of the game. Now this next one's a fun one. We've got a scientist with the Umbrella Corp logo on him. Of course it's Resident Evil. We've got bots dressed up as Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield defending a zombie. This is great. Next up inside this fish tank we have a bot with a VR helmet on playing PlayStation VR Worlds. It's clearly playing the Shark Encounter, also known as the rite of passage to any of my friends who want to play VR. Leapfrogging over to the next one, we have the Puppeteer.
Az nagyon félelmetes lehet, hogy be vagy zárva, és akkor ott tudja cápák, ha bár mondjuk így a valóságban is csinálnak olyat, de...
Which was a game created by Japan Studios, as well as this game. It didn't do too well, but it was quite fun. Well, this brings us to the end of the references inside of these levels, so now's a good time to get a bit of a rest up before we go into the next phase. Clean yourself up. Oh, whoa, okay. We got a few more references to go. There's this one here, which originally I was a bit confused by, because every time he got close, he just ran into the safe. But he grabs it, and that stuff that he grabs is the thing that led me on to believe that this is Sly Cooper from the games from the series called Sly Cooper. I never played them.
Játszani kell őket, nem tudom még hova. Jack and Dexter, Ratchet & Sly Cooper, nem tudom, hogy melyikbe kezdjük be. PS4-es Pokémon, nem tudom mikor, hogy kezdjük be.
The duck-infested pool water.
Nem panaszkodom.
We come across two cardboard cutouts. Now, one is clearly Parappa the Rapper, and the other is Jamalama, the lesser-known spiritual sequel.
Jamalami.
Now, whilst Astro was sleeping, I noticed one more thing.
Az első pálya volt, amikor a karatés hagymához ment, a második pálya meg volt, amikor vagy a jogosítványt akartam megszerni. Hit the brake, turn to the left. Meg tudod, így volt.
This fountain is just a super slimline PS3.
Wow! Right. Akkor az is benne volt a fehér PS3, csak az a pályán belül volt benne.
Now let's move on to the last part of the game. That is PlayStation Labo that takes place inside of a PlayStation 1.
Hát itt a PlayStation Labo összegyűjtött az összes
PlayStation artifacts that you collect through the game are stored. And with that are a few more references. Here's all the alternative bot versions of the portable games.
Botapon az... Botaway...
And an interesting what if Astrobot was a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, PS1 játék.
And to finish off these Astro Easter eggs, if you go over to the PlayStation VR and give it a knock, you can watch the trailer for Astro's rescue mission on the PSVR. Very nice.
A rescue mission.
Before we get back to some game references, how about a corporation changing its name Easter egg?
Csak még egy. Ha elég sokszor ütöd le... Így. Ez az eredeti, amikor a PS1-et elindítottuk.
Now this bot is clearly playing iToy Play, and I think he's definitely playing the Kung Fu level. One of the best ones of the pack. We then switch over to...
Az iToy-t ismertem, de hogy mik jöttek rá, fogalmam nem.
The PlayStation Move, and I think this guy's playing Sports Champion. The level which you could use a shielded sword to block and swipe. And finally...
Jónak tűnik, de már mostanság így a VR-hoz van a PS Move. Annyi.
We have the sneakiest reference with this bot is in VR and he's definitely playing.
Ez nagyon jó játék.
Look at those moves.
Rendkívül jó játék.
Now I mentioned
arról majd legalább egy videót akarok, amikor valamit experten S-rankra, vagy valami nagyon jól sikerül, mert most is tudnék hardon mutatni játékmenetet, de én egy olyat akarok, amikor tényleg valamit nagyon nehéz. Mert a hard is úgy nehéz, de úgy olyan fél óra alatt meg tudtam csinálni. Olyat akarok tényleg, ami expert, és akkor S-rank vagy hát nem is S-rank, de hogy tényleg, ahogy nézzük is, akkor is lehet látni, hogy ez rendkívül nehéz, mert amit hardon én úgy néztem, és ahogy játszottam, utána nem tűnik olyan bonyolultnak, de egyébként föl meg le, hogy na jó. Beat Saber az rendkívül jó.
Before the Ridge Racer did have two dioramas, and well, yeah, this is clearly Ridge Racer. That's the car from Ridge Racer.
Nem a Demolition Derby.
This next one's quite hard to
a Spyro! Nem vettem észre! Spyro benne volt. Hogy nem vettem észre?
Oh, but I'm pretty sure it's a niche game called Spyro the Dragon. I don't know, maybe that dragon was a...
Én pedig ezt körbejártam, szétnéztem, biztos benne.
You don't need a reference for this. Right, so throughout this game we have seen loads and loads of ducks, and I think this is a reference to Super Rubber Duck. However, the PlayStation 3 and PS2 as well had these tech demos that just included ducks. Here we have a bot clearly playing on a dance mat, Dance Revolution. We had one of these growing up, it was great fun. This isn't a reference to anything, I just thought the bot trying to spin with the X symbol was fun. Right, so I know how we talked about subtle references with the Beat Saber one, but this guy's throwing a boomerang, and it wasn't until I got a close-up look that I realised that's the Boomerang PS3 controller.
az
we then have the PlayStation Home logo. This was Sony's short-lived attempt at a social
csak egy utalás.
Now, I could not get this one for the life of me, but Mellow Gaming suggested that it was Beyond Two Souls, and yeah, it is. We've had the developers 2 other games, so why wouldn't this one appear? Little orb thing's a brother, right? Is that a spoiler? Now,
azt hiszem egyik színésznő volt a poszteren, egy színésznő, aki az X-Men 3-ban játszott a Kitty Pryde-ot, aki át tudott menni a falakon, az X-Men 3, a végső ellenállás, vagy az ellenállás vége. Ha jól emlékszem, de...
And Sackboy, so I'm guessing this is Sackboy's prehistoric move. Let me know if you think it's something else.
Ez volt egy easter egg, hogy jön egy Sackboy adventure.
This one's kind of sad. Japan Studios made Knack, and it didn't do too well. And now this bot can't put the pieces together.
Ne, de most minek röhögik? Hát a Knackből volt 2 rész, és akkor utána annyi, azt meg próbálják összerakni, hogy Knack működj, tudod, én csináljuk a játékokat, de nem jó, ki röhögi?
So this guy's working on an analog stick, and he's got a VR headset on. Could this be a little teaser for the next generation of Move controllers? Oh, right, moving on from that conspiracy theory, we have this one, which is, well, when you've completely voided the machine of all its balls and the prize they're in, you get these fireworks. Now, Mellow Gaming thought this could be a nod to Fantavision. This was a game on the PS2 that made you shoot fireworks with kind of the PlayStation symbols. I don't know, what do you think? Now, you remember that T-Rex that was being created in dreams? Well, here it is again. This is actually a reference to a tech demo dinosaur that appeared on the first demo disc. Well, he wasn't alone because there was a Manta Ray tech demo disc, and he's in a tank just next to him. These are very nice details.
És akkor jöhet a boss. Tech demo-sal,
and the last Easter egg in this room is the alternative PlayStation logos. Yeah, these were the alternative ones that they didn't
Ez mind PS logó volt.
Choose. The chosen logo now happily plastered onto this box.
Fú, hát igen, az emberek nem is gondolnak bele amúgy, hogy egy logó mennyi időt igényel meg tervezést, hogy elkészüljön. Hát most már nem tudnám máshogy elképzelni, mint hogy úgy a P és a fektetve az S úgy ossz.
We now come to the final Easter egg of this whole game, and I'm putting in a major spoiler here because if you still want to play this game and complete it 100%, then this is something you will not want to get spoiled. So, this is your final spoiler warning. Alright, let's go.
Let's go.
As you go to the basement of the main hub level, there is a room that slowly unlocks when you complete each level.
94.
Going into that room, we find a PlayStation 1 with Ken Kutaragi's memory card inserted. He was the creator of the PlayStation. With demo disc 1 playing, we go up a stairs made of memory cards and we face the flipping tech dino. Oh my goodness. And the coolest thing, when he shoots out enemies that are in low poly form. Love it. So there we go. I hope that's been entertaining enough. It took a little while to find hidden Astro bot. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game so far. My favourite game on the PS5. Let me know if you think I missed anything. I'd love to know. But until then, keep your eyes open for any more eggs, and I'll see you next time under the moons. See you later.
Nem nagyon voltak. Na hát ez a Mellow Gaming. Ja, ő segített neki, de egyébként itt vannak az Astro, meg az új Lightyear film. Hát az azóta már megjelent. Egy lájkot mindenképp megérdemel, és egy oda elmenést és rá kommentelést, lájkolást, nézzétek meg az eredetit, támogassátok azt a csatornát. Szerintem az Astro Playroomot le lehet akkor zárni. Visszatérek a VR-ba, játszom-e a Rescue Mission-t? Ez mennyire... Vagy hogy tudom egyáltalán, fel tudom szerintem venni, csak úgy milyen lesz úgy nézni. Várom a kommenteket, találkozunk legközelebb.